What does it mean to have hope? People often attribute a positive connotation to this feeling, associating it with things such as fire, light, warmth, and perseverance. My favorite example of this is from a cinematic trailer released for the game Star Wars: The Old Republic.
While the sacrifices are heavy, we fight knowing that a single spark of courage can ignite the fires of hope.
However, there is an undeniable truth about hope. If you find yourself relying on hope, then you've already been long in the darkness. Hope is most commonly accompanied by fear, for hope is the perseverance of your beliefs in spite of fear. Fear of failure, fear of isolation, fear of rejection, or even death. It is in these darkest times that hope can shine its brightest, or fizzle into despair. This video will heavily spoil the events of Unbreakable Sphere, along with some spoilers for the later chapters of Goddess of Victory Nikke. However, I myself played this event live, despite having only made my way through around Chapter 8 of the campaign. While I thoroughly enjoyed this story event, there are some holes missing in the grand scheme of story context. I will attempt to provide sufficient context when needed, but I will predominantly cover the information available solely within the event, and the playable Nikkes involved. If you haven't already, I urge you to enjoy the story for yourself. While the event is over now and no longer playable until it returns in the archives, many players have uploaded all of the voice-acted segments in case you missed it. I started playing this game near the tail end of December 2024, but the first main story event that I participated in was Footstep, Walk, Run. While I really didn't understand much of the context at the time, I quickly discovered that there was a whole lot more going on to the story of this game than I had initially anticipated. I decided that, while I would continue to participate in these story events, the game's story lends itself better to experiencing it rather than reading or having it be told to you. So I'll carry through with that line of thinking on this video, thus its title, An Incomplete Analysis. I know I don't know everything there is about these characters, so some context is lost on me, but if anything else, it strengthened my resolve to continue forward and experience the story that Level 9 has been spending the last 2.5 years telling us. Now let's talk about the main characters of this story arc. Siren, or the Little Mermaid, is a member of the Old Tales squad. The currently playable members of Old Tales include Little Mermaid, Cinderella, and Grave. In flashbacks during Siren's advisory sessions, the group is also supplemented by Hansel, Gretel, and Red Shoes. Over 70 years ago, Siren was separated from her squad and swallowed alive by a colossal rapture, codenamed Gluttony. Initially, she tried everything in her power to escape or defeat Gluttony from the inside. However, simply due to this rapture's massive size, she quickly realized that she was powerless to fight it. Instead, she spent her time establishing what I hesitate to describe as a safe haven within Gluttony. She would scavenge through the random debris swallowed by the rapture, and gather the ambient energy whenever present, condensing it into her bubble tree to create more bubbles. Siren's bubbles have various unique properties. They can absorb and dissipate energy, and can be used as a sort of barrier, blocking things from getting in or trapping something already inside of it. They can be used directly for combat, fired off in rapid succession like a submachine gun. Outside of combat uses, the bubbles are surprisingly versatile. Siren learns how to make beds that, while spongy in texture, are still comfortable enough to support a night's rest. Another curious aspect of these bubbles is their ability to record memories and events. Over the course of Unbreakable Sphere, you encounter these small, replayable scenes that reconstruct a past event or distant memory of Siren's. Rewatching these as Siren gives her the chance to make a quick comment about the memory, or how she felt during that time. During her prolonged isolation, these memories and bubbles are all the company she has. Over the years, Siren's isolation eats away at her. The constant yearning for her dear friends takes its toll as she continues to subsist off the random debris and scrap swallowed by Gluttony. Namely, she reminisces about her friend, Cinderella, recanting her beauty and her devotion to, quote, rewrite their stories into one of happiness like a true fairy tale. However, as the years go by, despite never losing hope, Siren slips further into depression and sadness. Siren learns how to create bubbles in the shapes of her past friends, Hansel, Gretel, Cinderella, and Ave. With the power of her Kotodama, that is, the ability for her spoken words to have real, tangible effect on the world around her, she periodically sends these bubble dolls up to the surface in an effort to have them find their real-life counterparts, with the ultimate goal of leading her friends back to gluttony to save her. However, despite these bubbles living for half a year at a time, they never found her friends. These bubbles would dissipate, having failed to alert anyone to Siren's location within gluttony. Siren continued to send more dolls up to the surface in hopes of being rescued, but time would quietly pass her by, day by day, month by month, year by year. Mihara and Yuni are the two members of the Wardress Squad, a squad tasked with pursuing and capturing rare raptor specimens at the request of Siren, the CEO of Missilus Industries. As Mihara and Yuni track an undisclosed raptor specimen, they are unexpectedly swallowed by gluttony after the colossal raptor devours a large region of the surface in an attempt to consume a missile-like projectile called the AA Pillar. Thanks to the protective bubble Siren had crafted within gluttony, Mihara and Yuni believe that they're at the bottom of the ocean. Siren keeps up this white lie for reasons we'll get into soon. Like Siren, Mihara and Yuni are Nikkes, though they are much newer models. Mihara, after having suffered fatal damage with her original body, was rebuilt into her new overspec form. Yuni, however, was not so lucky. Jien, the older sister of the Missilus CEO, experimented on Yuni's body, fusing her together with predominantly rapture technology. This not only drastically alters Yuni's appearance, but limits her speech to only a select few vocalizations. Mihara, of course, understands her anyway, and often translates the best approximation of what Yuni intends to say. Yuni is still capable of thinking in perfectly normal speech, limited only in her physical vocalizations. This eventually leads to some frustration and self-loathing at her occasional inability to express herself clearly. Mori is a Nikke created by Missilus Industries. While not much is known about her life prior to becoming a Nikke, what we do know is that within mere moments of her creation, she was slated for a difficult life. Normally, when Nikkes are created, they are created into the image of their idealized self, with their innate characteristics coming forth to set them apart from the others. However, the conversion from human to Nikke doesn't appear to be an exact science, as complications can occur in multiple stages of the process. Many who undergo the conversion to a Nikke die outright and never make it through to the end. Many women volunteer for the process, but many more are thrust into it for one reason or the other. In the event that a Nikke does not have any exemplary skills, or there is simply an error in the process, they can be molded into a mass production model. These mass-produced Nikkes are created without a true sense of self. Like any mass-produced product, they are nearly identical in appearance and voice. There can be an intense cognitive dissonance when you are just one in a sea of thousands, and it certainly doesn't help if your manufacturer refers to your line as Product 08 or simply Soldier OW. Mori, however, does have her own identity, her own voice, her own face. But aside from that, she doesn't appear to have much else. Upon her creation, the female researcher assigned to her is quoted as saying,
"Let's see. Intelligence is average, same with endurance and combat-related evaluations. As for special talents... none."
This researcher even makes light of the situation, asking,
"What is this? Is this thing defective or what? Born from such lofty ideals, yet utterly useless. Huh. I suppose even Missilus can produce a dud every once in a while. Is the production team getting lazy?"
Without any clear application or role to fill, Mori gets assigned to squads with mass-produced Nikkes. This inevitably leads to jealousy, envy, and resentment from the mass-produced models.
Right. Why else would a regular Nikke be placed in a squad of mass-produced units? I didn't even know that was possible. Same here. At least it has its own face and name. Honestly, I'm a bit jealous.
Amongst a sea of identical faces.
The fact that I stood out meant many bore ill will towards me.
Mori struggles with her envious and vindictive squad mates. They would deprive her of rations.
Huh? But I didn't receive today's rations.
What? You got something to say?
At first, I tried to force a smile and pretend to be nice. No, nothing. It's just, the supply machine seems to be broken.
Oh yeah? That's too bad. The captain said we need to leave right away.
Guess you'll have to go hungry.
Yeah.
And assign her to dangerous solo tasks.
You're working on this zone solo today.
By myself? That entire area?
Are you incapable of even that much? You're not even a mass-produced Nikke.
I'll do it. I can do it.
Her squad mates would do all they can to make it known that she wasn't welcome. For why should she get her own face and name when she can't even do anything special? Why should I be a mass-produced model when this Nikke is defective? These feelings of resentment and jealousy culminated into an incident where her squad mates had all received an order to retreat, but left Mori on the surface. With no prior communication, Mori waited at the rendezvous site before hearing the sounds of approaching raptures.
Why isn't anyone coming? I didn't receive any message to return. If I stay too long in one place, the raptures... Raptors! I've got to hide somewhere.
With no clear hiding spots in sight, she digs a hole and hides underground,
That's it. I need to hide underground.
praying that the raptors don't detect her presence.
Please, don't come. Don't find me.
As dirt and debris falls on her head,
Mori prays that she'll survive. Somehow she manages to come out of the ordeal alive. And upon returning to the elevator...
What are you doing? Didn't you hear the return order? Hey, didn't you tell her?
What? I definitely told her. Well, don't pin the blame on me just because you're deaf as a doornail. Unless that's another defect on the laundry list you came with.
That day, for the first time, I used violence against a squad mate. It was also the day I learned that malice must be met with malice.
Unfortunately, Mori's trouble would continue after her return from the rehabilitation center. Joining a resource collection squad, her new squad mates would frame her for stealing resources from the surface. Having just been to the rehabilitation center, there was nowhere left for her to go but Incubator Squad.
What? You're accusing me of theft?
Unsubmitted resources were found in your bag.
I was just holding it for someone.
You were an accomplice to a crime. Wait a minute. This one's already been to the rehabilitation center once before. Doesn't seem to have any special skills either. I guess we don't have much choice. You're going to Incubator.
Incubator Squad is a last-ditch effort for problem Nikkes. Those without any special skills were thrown here to either develop some hidden potential or be scrapped entirely. Even in this last-chance squad, Mori continued to live with misfortune. No Nikke was willing to put themselves on the line and add Mori to their squad, much less when this was their last chance to avoid being scrapped.
I hear she has a bad temper and goes around picking fights. If we get mixed up with her, we'll probably end up getting scrapped along with her.
And especially given Mori's reputation as a violent, defective Nikke. Having her in your squad seemed like a death sentence, so the mass-produced Nikkes avoided her just the same. Despite all of this, Mori still desperately wanted to live. She cuts a deal with Jian, the older sister of the Missilus CEO, to track down and shadow the Borgia squad. When the time was right, Jian instructed Mori to activate a rapture calling signal, then watch and wait.
You just need to do one thing. If you do that, I'll see that you're permanently removed from the disposal list.
Since Yuni had been rebuilt to be part rapture, Jian wanted to know just what happens when it goes off. Jian's experiments were cruel and unusual, but with her back against the wall, Mori chose her survival, no matter how much suffering it would cause others.
I was willing to do anything to survive. And so I made a deal with the devil, and used the misery of others as a stepping stone. And so... I made others miserable.
This leads us to the setup for this whole ordeal. Mihara and Yuni are in the field, tracking a rare rapture specimen. Mori, of course, trails them in order to fulfill her end of the bargain. We see a glimpse of an operation conducted by Mana and Shifty, along with the launch of a powerful missile-like projectile called the AA Pillar. Suddenly, the massive rapture known as Gluttony appears to swallow both the AA Pillar and the surrounding regions. Mori, Mihara, and Yuni are unknowingly swallowed whole. When the three of them come to, they meet Siren, who reveals that she was the one who saved them all from drowning. Mihara, seeing the large bubble and the seawater surrounding them, believes them to be at the bottom of the ocean. For now, Siren keeps up this white lie, and helps the stranded Nikkes with finding a way to escape back up to the surface. Unbreakable Sphere deals with two kinds of separation: existential, or sometimes social, loneliness, and isolation. Siren has been enduring physical isolation for over 70 years. She feels a deep sense of longing, a pain of the heart to one day see her friends again. For her, the memories of her dear friends and squad mates are what keep her going, but also what inflict her the most pain. She remembers fondly her conversations with Cinderella, and while this helps keep the overall goal in mind of one day escaping gluttony, it's soon beset by the harsh reality that all she has is memories. There's no one around for her to talk to or interact with. Siren hopes to one day see her friends again, but for fear of crushing herself with the nigh unbearable weight of her situation, she dares not dream of what it would be like to see the sun again, breathe the fresh air, or feel the breeze on her skin. Mori, however, is the opposite. Despite being on the Ark and surrounded by other Nikkes, she never felt like she belonged with anyone. The company she found herself in hated her, envied her, and seemed to do everything in their power to make sure she failed. Mori is the epitome of feeling alone in a crowded room. That despite having encountered hundreds, if not thousands of Nikkes and researchers, there wasn't a single one she could confide in. Not one that she would feel safe with, nor even cared that she was there. Mori's life was filled with misfortune from the moment it began, and it seemed almost fitting that after being alone in a sea of Nikkes, now she was alone at the bottom of the ocean. What Mori could never account for was Siren. Siren is a kind-hearted individual with an overwhelming sense of empathy and obligation for others. She wants nothing more than to help her friends and save whoever she can. Siren continues to show her new guests great hospitality and unconditional kindness, creating them beds, welcoming them into her home, and promising to do everything in her power to get them back up to the surface. This unexpected behavior deeply bothers a distrustful Mori, as she is unfamiliar to any form of genuine kindness.
What's your deal? Why are you being so nice to me? Is there something you want from me? Why are you going to such great lengths to save us? You've just met us. Why should you care whether we live or die? Why do you keep acting like you don't expect anything from us in return?
I just wanted to rescue you. So I did. And I simply wanted to be nice. So I did.
I don't like unconditional kindness. It makes me uncomfortable. Don't act all high and mighty. If you want something, just say it, and I'll do whatever you tell me to.
I'm sorry, but I really don't have any ulterior motives.
Don't lie to me! People like you are the worst. You put on a nice front and make it out like you're willing to do anything for someone. And then, just when they trust you the most, you stab them in the back.
Mori's hesitation and resistance to this kindness does not dissuade Siren. If anything, she continues to bridge the gap between them day by day. According to her estimations, it'll take Siren about a month to create enough bubbles to send the three of them back up to the surface. However, as with all lies, the trio find out that they are not, in fact, at the bottom of the ocean. While investigating a clearing, Mihara and Mori see some silver liquid floating just beyond the barrier. Siren tries to get everyone away from the barrier when, beyond the silver liquid, bright red lights appear, the unmistakable light of Rapture cores. Mihara pushes Siren for an answer, knowing that, prior to this, Raptures have never been seen to operate underwater.
Why do you look so worried? Is that stuff over there bad?
Everyone, inside!
What's that red light? Are those raptures?
Since when can raptures move underwater? Virtually all raptures are incapable of that. Siren, are we really in the ocean?
Why aren't you saying anything? She's asking you if we're really underwater.
I'm sorry.
You were lying to us? Talk, damn you! Were you lying to us?
I'm sorry, Mori.
I knew it! Why would this time be any different? Feigning kindness, pretending to be benevolent, telling me I could trust you. Not again.
I can explain everything!
Save it. I don't need your excuses. I can't stay in a place like this any longer. I'm leaving.
No! It's dangerous to go out now!
Do you really expect me to believe you?
We're in its throat! Gluttony is a colossal rapture, and we're inside its throat! Going out now would mean certain death.
Shut up! I don't trust a single word you say. I'm leaving. You hear me? I'm leaving.
Mori, deeply betrayed by Siren's lie, hurriedly moves to grab her belongings and leave. Siren moves to grab her arm and have her stay, but Mori swings her back to break free. In that moment, Jian's black box falls to the ground, setting off the calling signal. The nearby horde of raptures start smashing themselves into the barrier. The sphere cracks, and a mixture of water and silver digestive fluid seeps through. Siren tries to plug the cracks forming in the wall, but the incoming liquid is too great.
Digestive fluid! No! The AA pillar!
Some of the digestive fluid spills onto the AA pillar, which begins to dissolve into further silver liquid. Siren desperately covers the AA pillar with her bubbles, and the bubbles fight to contain the silver liquid from spreading further. But at that same time, Jian's experiment unfolds. Yuni, now part rapture, begins to shake uncontrollably.
Yuni, snap out of it. The bindings.
She breaks out of her bindings, all the while screaming until...
Me. Snap out of it.
Yuni's eyes glow a bright red. Despite having seemingly lost her mind, tears flow down her face. Mori tries to pull Yuni away, but can't budge her.
Stop, please! Someone help!
Siren commands Yuni to stop.
Stop!
Using the power of her Kotodama, Yuni finally lets go of Mihara.
Yuni, you're back. I'm glad.
Mihara is glad to see Yuni regain her senses, but Yuni is inconsolable. Mori, feeling the weight of her actions crash down upon her,
okay.
slowly backs away.
Really. I'm fine, Yuni. So...
Yuni's cries sound like screams. Wailing screams directed at Mori, reprimanding her and demanding she reconcile with her sins.
I'm really sorry.
Mori flees, unable to come to terms with herself.
Mori!
For days, Mori is nowhere to be found. Nonetheless, Siren searches for her until finally, she finds Mori hidden away in one of her little burrows.
What are you doing? How did you know I was here?
I know these little hollows are where you feel the safest. I figured you would be here. When anyone is going through something, they want to go to their safe place.
Why did you come looking for me? What were you planning on saying to me? To get out of here?
Mori assumes the worst.
Fine, I'll leave.
You can't leave. If you do, you'll die.
So what if I die? Who cares if I do? No one wants me to be alive anyway. The more I struggle to survive, the more I make other people's lives miserable. If that's the kind of life I'm destined to live, then I'm better off dead. What are you shaking your head for?
I'm sad.
What for?
I'd be sad if you died.
Who are you to say that? You lied to me. You tricked me.
I'm sorry for lying to you. I thought not telling the truth about this place, that we were inside a rapture's throat, would make you happier.
Happiness? What is that? Since when has happiness had anything to do with my life? Being born has been my greatest misfortune. No one was happy that I was born. No one likes the fact that I'm alive. No one extends a helping hand to me. No one listens to my cries for help.
That's not true. I heard you. I heard your cry for help, and I held your hand. I'm glad that you're alive. I'm happy that I was able to save you. I was so lonely in this desolate bubble. And then you came and made me happy. So, I don't want you to die. I want you to live and be happy.
What is this?
Mori, are you crying?
Shut up! Don't look at me!
Oh?
I said turn around!
Finally understanding Siren's care and affection, Mori breaks down and cries in the burrow. These holes in the ground had once been used to save Mori's life, keeping her hidden away from the world. She wanted nothing more than to hide herself away, hide her feelings where no one could see or hurt them. But Siren truly cares for Mori, so much so that in Mori's deepest pit of self-loathing and despair, she extends a hand to lift Mori out and into the light.
I've lived an unhappy life. I've had good reason to be distrustful of others, but it made me overly guarded, and I turned a blind eye to your kindness. I was suspicious of your affection, and saw it as duplicitous. Because I wanted to live, I brought untold misery to Yuni and Mihara. But despite all that, you still want to extend your hand out to me?
Yes! I already regret not reaching out to a friend once before. And once is enough. So, let's get out of here. Let's go outside. Aren't you going to grab my hand?
I will. I will.
Mori takes her hand and comes out of the burrow and walks back to meet with the others.
Thank you. Truly.
Mori apologizes profusely to Mihara and Yuni. Mihara is receptive to her apology, having more or less come out of this without any major damage. Yuni, however, is less receptive. She eventually relents, if only begrudgingly. The four Nikkes begin to plan their next course of action. Siren claims that, due to the additional silver liquid in the area, she can condense enough bubbles to push forward their departure date by about a week, meaning that they'll be able to leave in just one more week rather than 2. While initially being received as good news, Mori and Mihara have their own reservations. Mihara finds Siren slinking away by herself to the clearing, and pieces together that something about the AA pillar is bothering Siren. Mihara urges Siren to be truthful, and Siren finally relents that something is wrong with the AA pillar, but she's adamant that she can fix it. Siren asserts, both to Mori and Mihara, that getting them back to the surface is her top priority at the moment. Despite years of isolation, of loneliness and sorrow, Siren's first instinct is to hold true to her promise. She's selfless to a fault, simply content that knowing that she did the right thing, even if it means never seeing her friends again. Mori argues with Siren, having finally come around to let Siren into her heart. She begs Siren to come with them and return to the surface, but Siren refuses. She is determined to stay so that she can ensure the AA pillar's energy is not absorbed by gluttony, lest it wreak untold havoc on the surface. Mori, perhaps out of selfishness, love, or a mix of both, tries to convince Siren that maybe nothing wrong will happen. Maybe he'll just blow up an uninhabited area of the surface. Or even if he does hit somewhere inhabited, it won't be Siren's fault. But Siren doesn't budge. She believes that the three of them falling into her bubble was a godsend, a divine gift. The simple fact that they found their way to her and became her friends is more than enough. In her eyes, their friendship is enough to nullify all those years of isolation, and knowing that her actions will save them and keep them safe on the surface to live long, happy lives is more than enough for her. For she promised all those years ago that she would never run away from hardship. She'd never turned a blind eye to those who need saving, like a true goddess of victory.
Cinderella and everyone else made a promise. I can't run away from it. If I do, then I'll never be able to call myself a true goddess of victory.
You think you'll be recognized for your good deeds? That you're some kind of mythical goddess of victory? No one will ever know you were here. No one will ever remember your noble deeds. Not a single soul will know. You'll have died for nothing.
It's okay.
What do you mean it's okay?
I know what I've done, and that's enough. And it won't just be me who remembers. You all are here. Yuni, Mihara, and Mori. You will know. You'll know that I did the right thing. It's okay. This is more than enough.
After some final parting words,
Sorry, Mori. You are a really good friend. And I want my friends to live a long time in this world. Goodbye.
Siren!
You will go up until you reach a safe place. Goodbye, my dear friends.
Siren forces the three of them out of gluttony. In saving them, she seals her fate. That's why I describe Siren as selfless to a fault. Her love and care for others overrides any sense of self-preservation. Siren could never live with the guilt of even a single life being taken in her stead. So with potential hundreds, if not thousands at stake, she concludes that she must stay no matter what. And if she can do it alone, she'll make sure that her friends are as safe as possible. Simply knowing that they can go on to lead a long, happy life is enough, even if she's no longer a part of it. She will rest easy knowing that, somewhere along the way, her friends will hear of her sacrifice, and will be proud of her for it. Despite years of isolation, Siren never falters. She stays alive, clinging desperately to the hope of one day escaping gluttony to see her beloved friends. Yet when that moment comes, she throws it all aside to keep gluttony at bay when lives are in danger. Mori, however, cannot accept this. In a world where everyone was selfish, only looking after themselves, Siren was the only one who reached out, held her hand, and truly saw her. Siren celebrated her. And now, her only friend in the world locked herself away within the jaws of the most colossal rapture yet. Yet another misfortune in Mori's life. The only one who ever made her feel happy to be alive, resigned herself to never be seen again.
Siren.
Something new awakens within Mori. After spending some brief time back in Reclamation Site 1 to recover, she immediately begins preparations to track down Gluttony. Much to her dismay, Mihara tries to talk some sense into her.
You hear what you're saying? Don't you want to save Siren?
Of course I do. But tracking Gluttony is impossible.
Why not?
Mori, do you know what kind of rapture Gluttony is? It's a miracle that we were able to get out of that thing alive. And here you are, wanting to rush back towards it. Are you sure you can do that? You're afraid of fighting run-of-the-mill, ordinary raptures. When you stand in front of Gluttony, are you sure you won't lose your nerve?
Mori, despite a lifetime of looking after her own skin, doing everything she could in the name of survival, throws herself onto her knees and begs Mihara and Yuni to help her.
I'm not stupid. I know that. I know that if I go out there, I'm signing my own death warrant. That I might die without being able to do anything. Especially since we're talking about me. Someone who's afraid of even regular raptures. I realize I'd be powerless against something like Gluttony. You're right. The right thing for a weak Nikke from the incubator squad to do is give up. But I can't. I can't get it out of my head. I can't abandon her. She was the first person who told me she was glad I was alive. Even if I get chewed up, melted into a puddle, whatever it is. I want to go save her. I can't live knowing that she gave up her life for mine. So, please, just this once, could you help me? I know what I did to you is unforgivable. I know how shameless this request is. I'm perfectly aware that I should be asking for forgiveness instead of a favor. So I'll do anything. If you go with me, I will do anything. I put my life entirely in your hands. If you tell me to submit a false report, I'll do it. I will give you anything and everything I have. You give the order, any order, and I'll obey. If you want me to die in your place, I'm willing to do it any time. So please, help me, just this once.
I knew this would happen.
Such affection. Such sorrow.
I suppose we don't have much choice, do we? If you're that determined, Mori, let's go save Siren.
Mihara and Yuni have no other course of action than to help Mori track down Gluttony and save Siren. Mihara had warned Siren that this very thing would happen.
Siren, with your power, we're sure to get out of here. But remember, a child who is starved for affection can never abandon the person who gave them love. That is why the responsibility lies with the one who gave the love. There will come a day when you understand.
The three of them begin to gather information on how to track down Gluttony and any possible ways of hurting it. They meet with Mana, a researcher from the MMR squad, and Shifty, an operator with the central government. Despite the central government deeming Gluttony too dangerous to pursue, Mana theorizes that there's a highly dangerous, near-suicide way to damage Gluttony from within. E2 crystals. These crystals absorb electrical energy upon impact and continue to expand until all the energy is depleted. In fact, these crystals are so dangerous to Nikkes and Raptors alike that the AA pillar was fired off in order to destroy the region these E2 crystals come from. Mana gives them the E2 crystals, leaving only two more uncertainties: a way of tracking Gluttony, and a way of holding Gluttony's mouth open long enough for someone to go inside and plant the crystals on its core. To these ends, Mihara contacts Jien, the one responsible for dispatching Mori with the calling signal, and the one who fused Yuni with a rapture core. Mihara takes this conversation privately, leaving Mori and Yuni alone. Mihara cuts a deal with Jien. Jien will leave Mori alone, permanently removing her from the scrap list, and Mihara will take Yuni's place as her test subject. In return, Jien will help Mihara grow stronger and seize the hidden potential of this new body that she has yet to unlock. Jien agrees, and Mihara prepares to make good on her promise to be Jien's test subject. Meanwhile, Mori and Yuni talk about their feelings.
I hate her. She's been following us ever since we left the Ark. There's so much terror in her eyes, and yet she still came here with the intent of ruining me and Mihara. She activated that calling signal and made me suffer. She almost got Mihara killed. If Siren wasn't there, I would have killed Mihara with my own hands. I'll never forgive her for that.
Yuni?
This girl tried to put Mihara in danger. She's put strange thoughts into Mihara's mind. She's put Mihara in danger. I can't forgive her. I won't forgive her.
Stay back, Yuni!
Yuni chokes Mori, her thoughts spiraling.
I must kill her. She put Mihara in danger. She's trying to kill Mihara. She killed Mihara. She's the most despicable thing there is. She's like me.
Yuni!
Mori begins to cry.
I'm sorry. I know you won't forgive me.
Shut up. I don't want to hear it.
I know I don't deserve forgiveness.
I said I don't want to hear it!
But you have to let me save Siren. Once I've saved her, then you can kill me. Please, I'm begging you.
Please, I'm begging you. I know what those words mean. They're the words spoken when you desperately want to save someone precious to you. When you want to help them so badly, but you're powerless. And so all you can do is beg. Beg and speak desperate, pleading words. I understand, but I don't want to. I hate that she's like me in this way. I hate that she thinks the same way I do. I can't kill her.
Yuni releases Mori from her grip, and they both fall to the ground.
Yuni. I'm sorry. Sorry for putting you through this. For putting you and Mihara in harm's way again.
I know you are.
I still want to save her. She's the first person to ever be kind to me. And I loved it. I don't want to lose her or that feeling no matter what.
I understand.
I know that you feel the same way about Mihara. And yes, despite me knowing that, I'm still making you go out and put yourselves in danger. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so selfish. But I want to save her. I'm sorry.
I know it all too well. How it feels to know affection for the first time. And how it feels when you lose it. I know that sorrow, that ache. I understand why Mihara wants to help her. To be honest, I also think we should save Siren. That's why I can't find it in myself to despise her fully.
Yuni?
But I'm scared. I'm terrified. Terrified of losing Mihara again.
I'm sorry.
Two broken hearts sit together across from one another. Each understands the other more than anyone else ever could. Each feels sorry for the other, and both are afraid of losing what is most precious to them. And so they sit together, and they cry. Mihara returns, aware that something just happened, but decides not to push further, seeing as things appear to be resolved. The three of them then set out to track down Gluttony. All the while, Siren struggles to keep the AA pillar safe from Gluttony. She stares Gluttony down, refusing to let go of the pillar, despite searing pain coursing through her body, having condensed so many bubbles that her body begins to overheat. She continues on. As her vision fades, she wonders, if she closes her eyes, how many more times will she be able to open them?
No, not yet. I can't stop now. Not until all this energy is depleted.
As Mori, Mihara, and Yuni trek across the surface in pursuit of Gluttony, Siren slips in and out of consciousness, desperately clinging to stop the immense power of the AA pillar from linking out. Mori struggles against the unending onslaught of raptures along the way. Her wounds accumulate, begging her to collapse onto the ground, or to dig a hole and hide away until it's all over. But despite these feelings gnawing away at her, Mori continues to push onward. She rejects these fears and impulses, and grits her teeth. She thinks of Yuni, deathly afraid of losing Mihara on this trek. She thinks of Mihara, who has worked relentlessly to grant her wish. She thinks of Siren, the first person to ever show her kindness and affection. She thinks of every word Siren has ever said to her, and continues on. When they finally meet the water's edge, they devise a plan to bait Gluttony out into the open. Mihara, having accepted the deal to become Jian's new experiment, embraces the newly implanted Rapture core within her.
Warning, barrier. Reactivation required. Warning, barrier. Reactivation required.
While this process nearly kills her, she comes out of it exhilarated. Purple chains appear all over her body, and she realizes her true potential. No matter the size of the enemy, no matter how overwhelmingly powerful, she knows how to swap her senses with them, inflicting and enduring any amount of pain.
Such power. My arms could be ripped off. My entire body could be smashed to a pulp. And I would enjoy it. There's no limit to the pain that I can now endure. How thrilling. Oh, the fun I'm going to have.
With this massive release of energy, Gluttony approaches. They skirmish with the beast, and Mihara uses her newfound ability to keep Gluttony restrained. Yuni rushes to hold open Gluttony's gaping maw, and Mori runs for the opening. Despite a final surge of fear, the fear of death, the fear of being too late, the fear of failure, Mori casts it all aside to save Siren and jumps into Gluttony's mouth.
Siren!
Much to Siren's dismay, Mori falls into the bubble. She pleads for Siren to escape with her, but Siren refuses, adamant that she needs to stay there to make sure all of the energy within the AA pillar disperses safely. Even when Mori reveals their plan to utilize the E2 crystals, Siren urges Mori to leave without her. Even in her weakened state, she feels that she needs to stay behind and ensure Gluttony's destruction. Mori, having endured so much pain and misery, stands before Siren. Having trekked for days on end just for a chance to see her again,
My goddess of victory!
Mori stares into Siren's soul, unmoving, vowing to never leave her side. Little Mermaid stares back and sees Mori's unshakable belief in her. Her eyes, unbreakable spheres of hope that they'll get through this together. No matter the outcome, Mori believes in her until the very end. Mori, the supposed lackluster Nikke from the incubator squad, conquered every one of her fears just to see Siren again. Mihara was right in saying that a child starved for affection can never abandon the one who gave them love. Now here Mori stands, her hand outstretched. Only this time, not out of need for saving, but to save that which is most precious to her. Siren finally realizes that she can't give up. She grabs Mori's hand and proclaims,
I will survive! I will become the indomitable goddess of victory!
Yes, that's it!
Together, we'll survive and forge our own happy ending!
Yes!
Together, they load the E2 crystals into a bubble gun aimed directly at Gluttony's core. When Siren gives the signal, Mori fires away. Siren commands the crystals.
Hit your mark!
The crystals shatter onto Gluttony's core, and the two of them ascend to the surface. But Gluttony would not be so easily defeated. The crystals slowly stop growing, and Siren devises a plan to feed the energy of the AA pillar back into Gluttony and force the crystals to rapidly expand. Mihara subdues Gluttony for a brief moment, and Siren disperses the energy held within the AA pillar amongst her bubbles.
You want this pillar so badly? Come and get it!
She swings her hand, and the bubbles fly straight to Gluttony's core. As the energy seeps into Gluttony, the crystals rapidly expand, covering the entire core. With a final command,
Break apart!
Gluttony's core shatters. In an instant, it all fell silent. Gluttony falls to the ground, lifeless, or so we think. With the sound of rumbling trailing away, Siren concludes that Gluttony has not one, but multiple mouths. Having severed this head, Gluttony's main body retreats further underground. But for now, the team enjoys their hard-earned victory. Like a dog running with its tail between its legs, they can rest easy knowing Gluttony will not return anytime soon. As the sun peeks over the horizon, Siren realizes that, after 70 years, she finally gets to see the sunrise.
Beautiful!
You bet it is.
As tears flow from her eyes,
Ah, Mihara, Yuni, Mori. Thank you for saving me. I never thought I'd be able to see the sun again. To be able to set my feet on solid ground, breathe in fresh air. I didn't even dare dream of it.
the ever-stoic Mori...
Siren! Oh man, don't you cry. If you do, I'll start crying too.
Oh.
A flustered Siren comforts a crying Mori, and the two of them are washed in the dazzling golden light of the sun. Mihara and Yuni look at the two of them.
How are you feeling?
Cuckoo?
How does it feel saving someone for the first time? Feels good? If you feel good, then so do I.
Amidst the tearful reunion, Mihara notices something in the distance. Siren turns around and sees her friends, Cinderella and Ave. Siren runs to Cinderella, and the two of them have a long overdue reunion.
Siren? Cinderella?
Well, what are you waiting for?
Our voices soar together, carving stems, hand in hand, chains
Is it really you?
It's warm. Cinderella! Cinderella!
I missed you, Siren.
Tears?
Siren, it's Ave.
Oh, Eve?
Siren, it's a good thing you decided to stay alive, huh?
I'll be by your side.
In the epilogue, they all spend a week recovering from the whole ordeal. Mihara and Yuni plan to return to the Ark, Mihara needing to uphold her end of the bargain with Jien, as well as give a full report to Mana regarding their encounter with Gluttony. Mori perplexingly plans to return to the Ark as well, and fulfill whatever role is left to her. As the group says their goodbyes, she gives Siren her farewell. Siren, understandably, asks her,
Where are you going?
The Ark. Where else?
Weren't you coming with me?
What?
You said it while we were both trapped inside Gluttony. You don't want to stay with me anymore?
What? No! Of course I want to stay with you. Are you sure that'd be okay?
Mori, almost getting the award for Fumble of the Year, asks Siren if she's really okay with her joining the team. Siren interjects, saying that
It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, you became one of us the moment you risked your life to save Siren.
If Cinderella is okay with it, so am I.
Siren gives her final thoughts, saying that Mori is thoughtful, smart, and brave, but above all, Mori is her friend. She reaches out her hand and offers one more time.
Mori? Will you stay with me?
Mori, of course, having just fallen out of the running for Fumble of the Year, accepts, and is welcomed by Cinderella and Ave.
I will. I'd love to. I'd be honored to go with you guys.
As they part ways from Mihara and Yuni, only time will tell how their story unfolds. But we can only hope that, in spite of any hardship yet to come, they will all write their own happy endings.
We'll meet again.
Yes, we will. I'm sure of it.
That brings us to the end of Unbreakable Sphere. I apologize if it started getting a little cutscene heavy halfway through, but I figured that there were no words I could muster to portray the scenes better than the actors who performed it. Now, despite this being the end, we still have a lot to unpack about this arc. As I mentioned before, Unbreakable Sphere shows us two different kinds of isolation. Mori, emotionally neglected amongst a sea of identical Nikkes, and Siren, locked away under the sea for 70 years. Despite the incredible hardships that both of them endure, the two overcome them. Like the metal alloys in their bodies, the two have become inseparable and are stronger for it. Mori, despite her happy ending, is still somewhat of a cautionary tale. In a world so unkind to her, so devoid of love, she understandably becomes bitter, callous to the world. Believing there's no true kindness left, since the moment she was born, she was labeled as defective, unremarkable, and worthless. In an effort to combat this, or perhaps simply to just cope with her situation, Mori begins to embrace these labels. She calls herself useless, projecting it out into the world. Maybe she believes that by owning it and claiming it herself, it'll lessen the blow from others. Maybe if she presents herself as useless when meeting others, they might not feel the need to point it out to her, as countless others have. Throughout the story, we hear Mori, of her own volition, call herself useless and good for nothing. Mori pleads to Mihara, saying that she's powerless against something like gluttony, especially when she's afraid of even regular raptures, much less one named after a cardinal sin. Time and time again, Mori qualifies herself, begging for Mihara and Yuni to help her save Siren. Even when Yuni is on the verge of killing her, Mori pleads for her life. She tells Yuni,
I know I don't deserve forgiveness,
promising that after she helps her save Siren, then Yuni can kill her. Mori conditioned herself to truly believe that she has no redeeming qualities or any intrinsic value. She accepted it as a fact of her life. And yes, I cannot argue with the opening scene of the researcher explaining how Mori's just a basic bleh, no matter how much I come to love Mori. Despite all of this, she develops something remarkable, an unbreakable sense of belief and loyalty to her friend, Siren. Through Siren's unrelenting kindness, Mori finally understood what it's like to be valued and treasured by another person, and Mori, having long been a resident of the darkness, found her flicker of hope and held on to it, carrying it with her until she could finally see Siren again. And not only see her, but convince others to help her in her journey, despite having nothing to offer. They destroy one of Gluttony's cores, and send the Cardinal Beast into hiding, something that no Nikke, much less any of the mass-produced models, would have ever been capable of. Mori is a lesson. Despite each and every one of us having to come to terms with some unsavory truth about ourselves, there's always a way out. But no matter what happens, no matter how long it takes, never reduce yourself down to your own limitations. Acknowledging our shortcomings is one thing, but giving in to them is another thing altogether. It's what inspired me to make this video. After years of never making anything just because it didn't feel right, I found I was resigning myself to my own fears. I dug my own little burrow and stayed in there because it felt safe. My takeaway from Mori's plight is that if you're struggling with feelings of inadequacy, sometimes all you can do is make things good enough for the skills that you have now. So long as you keep moving, you'll find your way. Even if you feel alone in a sea of faces, something that I'm sure is all too common in schools, colleges, and the greater world, if you find yourself clinging to hope, don't let it go. Maybe you'll find your own goddess of victory to save you, or maybe you'll become your own. Speaking of our goddess of victory, Siren had her own struggles to deal with. Now, I sure hope none of you are trapped under the ocean or trapped inside of the mouth of a giant killer robot, but I'm sure we can at least somewhat relate to the feeling of having no one to talk to, being alone with only our thoughts and memories of what have been, and dreams of what may be. Despite all of this, Siren never loses her kindness. She was sure that her friends were out there, somewhere, working to uphold their promise and create their own happy ending. In her quest to make them proud, she struggled with all her might to do what was right. Not for fame or glory, but simply that it was the right thing to do. She was a beacon of hope. She wanted to save others, so she did. And she simply wanted to be kind, so she was. However, she was altruistic almost to a fault. Her overwhelming desire to save others and have her friends live long, happy lives didn't account for the sadness that they would feel living in a world without her. Siren's quest to become an indomitable goddess of victory was admirable, if not a little flawed. To her, the obvious choice was that if someone needs to die, then she'd be the first to shield all others from pain. But she failed to realize that sometimes no one has to die. Sometimes you don't need to take the world on all by yourself. Sometimes you don't need to sacrifice yourself. If you have a true friend, someone who will never leave your side, living in a world without you would be worse, because every day they'd think of their own memories with you and lament the memories that they'll never get to have.
I'm not leaving without you! Even if there's one small chance at survival. Cling to it and seize victory! Stay alive and keep surviving!
Maybe that ended a little bit more dramatic than I thought, but hey, I'm 7,000 words deep and I've been writing this script for a couple days now. Honestly, I never would have thought that this game would make me feel anything like this. I'm gonna be so honest, I played this game after seeing a tweet of some dude saying, "I got made fun of at work today because some guy saw me playing Nikke and went, we got a gooner on the premises, we got somebody playing the anime booby game." And I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So I searched up the game and I was like, screw it, I'll give it a shot. Fast forward like 5 months later and here I am making a video about something that I don't even know the full context of because I'm not that far in the story. But I mean, hey, if you made it this far, I appreciate ya. Like I said, it's been a long time since my last upload, since I just didn't really feel confident enough to release videos or to finish projects. But anyway, thank you all so much for letting me yap about this. Honestly, this event was so good, and I can't wait to get up to speed on the main story and the side quests that they've released, because I just keep hearing good things. I hope you all found this analysis insightful enough to make it through to the end. Thank you to the Level 9 and Nikke team for creating a game with an absolute banger soundtrack,
Shout out to my boy Cosmo,
and surprisingly gripping character-driven story. And I know there's like a 0% chance that they're gonna hear this, but whatever, it's my video. So thank you Katiana Sarkissian for your amazing performance as Mori, as well as Monique Thomas for your performance as Siren.
Bubble, Mori!
Kaylin Robach, the voice of Cinderella, I saw you at a con once, and I regret not getting your autograph because I love how you're voicing Cinderella. I think it's great. Ann Yakto, you're doing great as Mihara, even though I think Mihara shows a little too much boob. It's not your fault. I think you made her sound super nice and super caring. I love that. Alexis Tipton as Yuni. I never knew there were going to be so many ways to say coo. You kick some ass out there, I gotta say. Last minute mentions. Thank you to Laura Stahl for your performance as Snow White. I know she's not in this one, but she's my favorite pilgrim, so Snow White gang forever. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye!